Hello, everybody. Welcome back to A Book for My Sister podcast. I'm Amelia.
I'm Cassie.
And we are just two sisters hanging out. We're talking about our favorite books and what we're reading currently and just kind of giving our reviews of what we've been reading. We've got a lot of fun things planned for you guys, so we hope that you'll subscribe, hit that subscribe/follow button. So you can be updated.
Smash that subscribe button.
Smash the subscribe and to keep up with our reading journey. And leave us some comments. Let us know what you're reading. We want to know. We want to hear from you guys. As always, we will preface any discussions with whether there are spoilers or not. For the most part, expect some light spoilers because this is a book review podcast. So we're going to tell y'all what's happening in the books. So if you really don't want to know, maybe come back to the episode after you read the book that you want to read. So let's do our beverage recap. Cassie, what are you drinking today?
Well, okay. I was drinking a shaken espresso, a hazelnut shaken espresso from Starbucks, but I did finish it. So I am currently just drinking ice water. Yeah.
Wow.
I have gift cards.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
Yeah. So, yeah. And now I'm just drinking water because I finished it. But it was delicious. That stuff is like crack cocaine.
Okay, great.
Literally. It's like, that's a gateway drug, or the shaken espressos.
Is it sweet?
So good.
Is it like a pumpkin spice latte?
It's not too sweet. No, it's the hazelnut one, but I don't even know, man. Literally so good. Ooh. And I thoroughly enjoyed it.
That sounds like something that would be really sweet, but
it's not. It's a perfect balance.
Gonna be gone. Is it their fall? Is it a fall one?
No, it's their They always have the shake. Have you never had a brown sugar shaken espresso?
I used to have those when I went to Starbucks. I would get those, but I haven't. I didn't know that they had a hazelnut one.
Oh yeah, that one's like maybe a year old. They did have like a horchata one that was seasonal, but actually I think it was like over the summer, so I don't know why that was a summer drink, or maybe spring. I don't know, and it was okay. The hazelnut one is amazing.
I haven't been to Starbucks in like 2 years, so I really don't know what they're doing anymore.
They have protein lattes now.
That's really disgusting.
Yeah,
Ew.
So it's made with like
the
like
influencers
a protein shake
are
for like the milk,
messing up
I guess.
the coffee. That's disgusting.
See, I always wanted to try a protein coffee, but then I have to buy a vegan protein shake. So
do they have bullet coffee at Starbucks now? Where they put butter in the coffee?
Is that the one with the... Yeah, no, they don't have that. I'm sure you could ask for it. They have butter, they have coffee.
Ew.
Get a bagel.
That's so gross.
Oh, and also, I did have a non-vegan break today because I was really hungry this morning. And they have apple croissants.
Ew.
And that was... What is wrong with you?
Gross.
It was so good.
I just don't really like apple, so I guess that to me sounds gross.
Oh my god, they were perfectly baked. It was sweet.
Like it just had like apple extract in it or something?
No, it was baked apples. So like the center was apples.
Oh,
it wasn't like
so it's kind of like an apple.
It wasn't
like
that
an
full.
Apple crisp or something.
Yeah, kind of.
Or it was
so
like
good.
a chocolate croissant, but instead of chocolate.
Yeah, but yeah,
apple.
And it's a it's like a little circle, and in the center, and it's like the apples aren't inside it. It's like on top. It's so good.
That sounds kind of yummy, I guess.
Thoroughly enjoyed that. So yeah.
Well,
so moral of the story: I was drinking a hazelnut shaken espresso, and now I'm just drinking water.
Well,
because it was so good.
Hydrated girl, so good for you.
Yeah.
I am drinking. I got a mocha pot this week. So I know. So I've been making myself a mocha pot coffee. So I've got a little.
Is it not a maca pot?
I don't know. I thought it was mocha pot. Maca pot.
Well, Mama just says
Mama
maca.
says maca. I don't know.
She says weird things.
I'm not sure. I'm calling it a mocha pot. I literally could not tell you. But it's been really good. So I have just a coffee and I have some Oatly caramel creamer in there. And I'm almost done with it, which is really sad. But it's been really delicious. So, and I have water. So, we're going to be hydrated for this episode.
So hydrated.
Which is good. We need to be because we've got some scary monsters to fight off. today. So today we are coming back to, this is part 3 of our Grady Hendrix deep dive, where we are going through his books in order of their publication, his little horror books, and we are just talking about what we think of them and what happens in those books. So buckle up. Today we're going to be talking about Final Girl Support Group and How to Sell a Haunted House. I guess it's technically the Final Girl Support Group, but I keep cutting out the T. But it is actually the Final Girl Support Group. So, whoops.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Final Girl Support Group was released in 2021. Our main character is Lynette. She is a part of a small support group of women for final girls who have lived through horror movie-style murders. Each final girl's story is actually based on a real slasher movie, and the chapter breaks have excerpts of essays about horror movies, as well as VHS copies of old slashers and transcripts from interviews that happened in our main characters' lives. So very interesting chapter breaks. Mm-hmm. I do love those, that part about this book. They're very cool.
They are.
Oh, yeah, and just for reference and interest, I will list the characters and the IRL movies that the stories are based on. There's Adrian, she's based on Friday the 13th, Marilyn, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Danny, Halloween, Julia, Scream, Heather, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Lynette, Silent Night, Deadly Night. I don't know what that...
It's like a Christmas...
I've never seen any of these.
It's like a Christmas one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, it's all scary stuff. I'm not a scary... It's funny. I love scary books. I hate scary movies.
I'm not a big scary movie person either, so yeah.
I don't like them. No. Yeah. So I've never seen any of those.
Me neither. I've seen Scream. You've never seen Scream? Scream.
No.
Scream is actually not that scary. You would like Scream.
That's what I've heard. Scream it's more like a thriller. I think I would like it. I know how it ends, though. I know who did it.
But it's still fun to watch.
It was... I guess I won't also spoil Scream. Okay. there was a 7th girl in the group, Chrissy, but she left the group in order to sell murder memorabilia on eBay, which is a huge betrayal to the girls. Obviously, it's very inappropriate. So we start with Lynette in her support group, and during this meeting, they find out that Adrian, who was the one we are told was like holding them together, and she was Friday the 13th, she's been killed. Danny talks about how she thinks she's going to stop coming to the meeting since her wife is dying and she needs to spend time with her, and she doesn't think it's good to keep rehashing these horrible things that happened in their past. So the group's kind of breaking up. Lynette, our main character, becomes very upset and claims that they've all been coming to these meetings to support Heather, who has been in and out of addiction. But everyone says they've actually been coming for her and she's the mess of the group. So she's a mess. She's a hot mess. After the meeting, we follow an incredibly panicked Lynette home, and Julia follows her too, and brings a reporter into her apartment. Lynette's apartment is attacked, and she flees to her therapist's house. She stays for a day or two, and eventually her therapist's older son, Sky, helps her leave to one of the other final girls' houses because she is being tracked down by somebody. Somebody wants this girl dead. She joins the other girls and tries to be the person she wants to be in order to get to the bottom of this. What more will they endure to end this new torment?
Whoa.
We'll find out.
We'll find out, you guys. That was beautiful, Cassie.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Okay. Alrighty, so the second book we're going to be talking about today is How to Sell a Haunted House. This book was published in 2023, which feels crazy to me because I keep thinking that it was published in 2024. But it wasn't, and that just feels 2023.
So crazy.
January 2023. It just feels like a really long time ago.
It does.
It feels like a really long time ago. But anyway, in this book, we follow estranged siblings Louise and Mark as they grapple with the sudden death of their parents and what follows. So at the beginning, Louise, who's kind of our main character, she gets a phone call saying that her parents have died very suddenly in a sort of car crash, which is a little bit of a mysterious car crash at night. So she gets ready to go to Charleston, which is where she's from and where she grew up, so that she can kind of deal with their passing and get their house where she grew up kind of ready to be put up for sale. So she prepares for that. She and her brother, obviously, they're estranged, so they don't get along or speak to each other. and they haven't spoken in a long time, so she's prepared to deal with that. But what she wasn't ready for was that the house, there's something wrong with this house. So their mother was an artist, and she, when Louise and her brother Mark were growing up, made lots of puppets for them, and she was really kind of into like theater and the arts, and so she would always encourage them to go in that direction, and she was always essentially making puppets for them. And the puppets are like in the house is full of like stuffed animals and puppets, so that's pretty spooky,
Creepy
in and of itself, even if they weren't acting strangely, which they are. So Louise gets there, and she notices that when she's trying to get the house ready, that the puppets are kind of acting strangely. And so she's kind of noticing their weird things. She gets attacked by a stuffed squirrel. She thinks it's a real squirrel, and then she realizes that it's one of the stuffed animal squirrels that attacks her face. And she's like, I'm not sure what's going on. And so she and Mark's cousin, Mercy, is a real estate agent and has offered to help them sell the house. But during a walkthrough of the house, she stops them and she says, quote, I'll come right out and say it. Strange noises, bad vibes. Your mom and dad recently passed. Your house is haunted, and I'm not selling it until you deal with that. That's page 150.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. So Mark and Louise kind of argue through the night to talk about why the house might be haunted, and Louise doesn't really believe that it's haunted anyway because she doesn't really believe that stuff.
Even though she got attacked by a squirrel.
She thinks it's like a live. I think she's in denial. And so they're kind of working through it and trying to talk about it, and they are talking about the main sort of puppet of their childhood, and his name is Pupkin, and he's a little creepy clown puppet. He sort of tormented them individually in their childhood, and when Louise was 5, he actually convinced her to try and kill Mark in a little pond, and he almost drowned to death. But Louise is trying to not remember it that way, and she's like, no, that didn't happen. And Mark is like, you literally left me to die. And Louise is like, I don't think so. So they're kind of arguing, and then while they're doing this, the puppets and the stuffed animals begin leaving messages and acting really, really strange. And so Mark storms out of the house, and Louise is like, well, I'm going to stay because we've got to get this house ready and we have to figure out what's going on. But then Pupkin attacks her. He shoves a needle into her eyeball. So Mark comes back into the house and shoots Pupkin, which he shoots a little puppet, and then they leave to go to Waffle House. Of course, they're in Charleston, so they go to Waffle House. And so then they really begin to talk about what actually happened in their lives and like when they were children, what happened with Pupkin individually. So can they come back together as siblings to clear the house of the haunting and defeat Pupkin? Can you really sell a haunted house? I don't know. Let's find out. So now we're moving into the discussion, guys. There will be spoilers. There's going to be major spoilers. If you've listened to the last 2 episodes, which we highly recommend that you go back and listen to them if you haven't already, you will know, if you have listened to them, that we are going to describe the book in its entirety to you. And we'll tell you how it ends. So there will be spoilers. Please expect spoilers from here on out. Okay. So, Final Girl support group. Here we go.
We're going to be so real. We are not fans.
Nope.
The concept is really cool, especially, like I was saying, with all the references to old slasher films, and it's really cool. And we think that the girls' individual stories are executed very well and they're very interesting, but we are just not a fan of Lynette.
Sorry, girl.
Unfortunately, sorry, girl. She's very hard to root for. Because she's pretty, and it's she's a little selfish, I guess, but it's also, I feel like if you've survived,
you're allowed to feel that way.
You can be a little selfish. Yeah, so we just, it's hard to root for her because we're just like, damn, girl, you want to care about anybody else, but It is what it is. And even at the very end, she is most worried about herself, which, okay, fair enough. I don't know. It takes her to until the very end of the book to be oh, wow, my friends do care about me. Maybe I care about them too. So she's just very she's like a lone wolf pretty much. But Amelia, I know you have some thoughts on this.
I mean, it is like, I think it's just hard for Lynette to see, because her friends who are in the support group have kind of moved on a little bit with their lives. Heather, maybe she hasn't totally moved on, but like their other friends, like Danny is married. Adrian, so Adrian's story was that she was attacked at a camp when she was young, and so then as an adult she bought the camp, and has made it sort of like a supportive place for kids. And so she owns this camp and like runs this camp for children. And she was killed as an adult at the beginning of the book, because we don't ever actually meet Adrian. She was killed at the camp that she like had bought and that she was originally attacked in. And so, like, she had...
Full circle moment.
Yeah, well, really depressing full circle.
Yeah, it's really bad.
And, like, Marilyn, like, is married. Granted, she's married to a Republican. So, okay, Marilyn. But,
but I remember that.
She was. Julia is sort of like an activist. So, they've all kind of moved on. But Lynette has essentially locked herself in her apartment and made her apartment like Fort Knox or something. Like,
she's very paranoid.
Yeah, and like when she's leaving the support group at the beginning, there are like pages of her trying to think of the most unexpected way that she could get home. So if there is someone following her, they wouldn't expect her to be doing the things that she's doing.
Right, because doesn't she go home like a different way, like every time?
Yes.
So that no one can ever track her. Mm-hmm. It's exhausting. That poor girl.
Yeah, and like the only, like, she doesn't really see people ever. She doesn't really talk to people like in person. She has a plant that she takes care of. He's a little fern. His name is Fine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that's like the only thing she really cares about. So I think it's hard for her to like see her friends move on. And she also has some guilt because she doesn't really consider herself a true final girl, because she didn't actually kill the person that killed her family.
Oh yeah.
She played dead. So what happened was the killer came into the house and there was like, mounted antlers on the wall, and the killer like pushed her onto them, so they like stabbed her through the chest. So she played dead for hours so that the killer wouldn't come back and like finish her off. So she didn't kill anybody. A cop came in and I don't remember if he killed the guy or not, but a cop comes in and saves her. And then a similar thing happens to her a couple years later, and she's saved again by a cop, and she doesn't actually kill anybody. So she feels kind of guilty because the rest of the girls did kill their murderers, and she didn't. So I think she also is kind of like, I feel guilty about this, and her whole family was killed, and she was like just kind of hanging there, literally hanging there on some antlers.
I forgot how brutal that was.
It really is.
I feel bad now. She's a great person.
No. And so
she's actually my favorite character.
No. So I think the first time I read this book, I was like really not extending any compassion to her. I was like, oh my God, she's literally so annoying and I can't stand her. She makes she's just like a hot mess express. She's just like making a lot of rash decisions that she will follow her gut all the time, but because she's kind of created this like existence for herself that is not always tethered in like reality, she doesn't always make decisions that like, oh, like, girl, that doesn't make sense. Like, that's a lot of her decisions are like, oh my God, why would you do that? And like she isn't always thinking about her friends. But I do think that there is like a part of her where like throughout the book, she's doing a lot of the things that she's doing because ultimately she wants all the final girls to be safe, and she wants to like sort of end the trope of final girls. I think that in order to like her at all, you maybe have to read it a couple times. Because the first time I read it, I was like, oh my God, this girl is driving me nuts. But and it can it does feel sometimes hard to root for her because she's making all of these decisions that you're like, I just can't support any of these things that you're doing. And so it's just kind of hard to like root for her because she makes it hard sometimes. But you know, that's sort of in line with like how we talked about last week with the Grady Hendrix's characters, is that they are like real people, and like, you know, would a
real people make bad decisions?
Yeah, real people are messy, and like there are plenty of people who, you know, have gone through like not even as bad, obviously, like horror movie deaths or attacks, and they make sort of similar decisions, and it's like a real thing that happens. So, you know, I think that's in line with the way he writes characters. I think that she is just she's the hardest character that he's written to support while you're reading the book, I think. So what happens in this book is that, and I honestly, you guys, I tried to reread this book, but I started a new job this week. Oh my God. And whoop. I was actually doing things during the daytime, unlike at my old job where I basically didn't have anything to do ever. So I could read all day long, and now I'm not doing that anymore. So I actually had things to do. So I tried to skim it. Yeah, I know. I tried to skim it before bed. It's not super light bedtime reading, but
no,
there's just, again, and I've said this many times and I'll continue to say it, there's so many things that happen in this book that it's like, I'm not sure that I'm going to actually explain everything that happens in detail in this book. But so basically, you know, we open and Lynette is, you know, at her, okay, this is actually important. So we open on Lynette. She's like getting ready to go to her support group. She does learn that she like turns on the news and there's a new final girl. This girl, so her name is Stephanie, and she's 16 and she was at Adrian's camp. I believe that's what Camp Red Lake is Adrian's camp. But I could be mistaken. But she's at camp and basically she becomes a final girl and all of her friends are killed and she survives. And so she learns that, and then she's like, oh, that's really horrible. And then she kind of goes into this rant about final girls. And then she goes to her support group, and they all kind of argue about whether or not the group should continue. Danny and Marilyn are like, do we really need to keep coming to this? Like, this is maybe not healthy. And Danny's wife, Michelle, is dying from cancer. So she's like, I really just need to be home with my wife. Like, I don't need to be here rehashing things that happened for like 16 years ago. And so Lynette is like, what are you talking about? Like, Heather's gonna fall apart. Lynette's like, it's not me, it's Heather. She's a mess. And everyone's like, Lynette, you're the mess, honey. And then Lynette is like, this is horrible. And then they find out at the end of the meeting, that Adrian has been killed. And so Lynette is like, that probably means that we're next. You know, she's like very paranoid that they're all going to be gone after, like the final girls are under attack, basically. And so we watch Lynette go home. She's very panicky. And then Julia is the only one who knows where Lynette lives. And so she goes to Lynette's house with a journalist, but she has the journalist dress up as Ghost, who is the person that killed or tried to kill Julia, like Scream, like the ghost mask, the Scream mask. So she has him like dress up like her killer, basically. And she has him do that so that Lynette would open the door, because she knows that if Lynette sees this person dressed like Julia's killer, then she'll freak out. So she tries to shoot at the journalist, but it doesn't work, so she doesn't actually shoot anybody. But then while they're there, they're talking, and they get shot at basically in Lynette's apartment, like someone is shooting at her apartment. And so the journalist gets shot, and Julia also gets shot. Lynette is like, sorry, girl, I have to leave, and she runs. Yeah. She does not check on Julia. She's like, bye. And you're kind of like, oh, okay, well, okay. And so Lynette escapes, and then she calls the therapist, Dr. Carroll. And Dr. Carroll was the one who she was like moderating the support group. So she's been there for these women for like 16 years. So they're all like very familiar with Dr. Carroll. So she calls Dr. Carroll and she's like, well, I'll pick you up, Lynette, and you can come stay at my house. So they're driving to Carol's house. And then when they get there, they find out that Heather's halfway house that she was living at had burned down. And so Lynette is like, oh my God, someone's trying to kill Heather. Like, we're all under attack. And so Lynette is trying to like think of a plan, and Dr. Carroll has 2 sons. One of them is 8 and one of them is like 26. And so Lynette is like, I'm just going to have to trust her son because I really need help to get out of here because I don't have a car. So she gets Dr. Carroll's 26-year-old son, Sky, to help her, to drive her back to her apartment so that she can grab some things and then drive her to Marilyn's house. So she goes back to her house and she gets some stuff. Lynette goes to Marilyn's house. She did retrieve her plant from her apartment, so she puts her plant fine in some bushes at Marilyn's house so that Fine will be safe because that's the only thing she cares about. And so Marilyn's having a party so that Marilyn is like, you can stay here, but nobody can see you. So she puts Lynette in the guest house with Heather. So Heather and Lynette are just like chilling in there. And Heather is like, please, I would like for you to leave. And Lynette is like, no, thank you. So then the party ends and Marilyn explains that some paparazzi have followed Lynette to her party. And so she's like, you guys cannot leave because there's paparazzi here, and Heather and Lynette both have warrants out for their arrest because the cops believe that Heather burned the halfway house down. And Lynette was there when her apartment was shot at, and they think that she had something to do with it. So they both have warrants out for their arrests. Danny's in jail because there was some altercation with, like, police at her farm or at her, like, on her property, and she, like, had a gun or something in her hand, and they were like, we're arresting you. So Danny's in jail. Yeah, seriously. Danny's in jail. Julia's at the hospital because she's been shot. So they are, like, protected. And so Heather and Lynette have to lay low. But Lynette is like, what about Danny's wife, Michelle? She's in hospice, and we need to make sure that, like, she's safe. So this is sort of an aspect of, okay, Lynette is thinking about, Danny's wife. So they're like, we need to go spring Michelle from hospice.
Oh, so don't they get kidnap her?
They kidnap her from the hospice. And they're driving, and they're like, this woman is dying. They're trying to drive Michelle to their ranch, to Michelle and Danny's ranch, because they want her to, like, die at home. But they don't know the way to Danny's ranch, and Michelle can't tell them because she's dying actively in the car. So they're like, Marilyn is like, what we're going to do is we're going to park right here, and we're going to go into this park, and we're going to put Michelle outside, and we're going to tell her that she's at the ranch. And so Michelle passes away. And they're like, we have got to leave because we've got warrants out for our arrest. So she's dead, and now we have to go, and we can't be seen with a dead person. So they ask some old man if he'll stay with her, and they tell him that she's waiting for her ride and that she needs company. And he's like, sure. And they start to leave, and then the cops show up because Heather actually called them to arrest Lynette so that Heather could escape and Lynette could be arrested. And so Lynette actually knows one of these cops because he's the one that rescued her when she was being attacked the first time when she was up on the antlers. So he did kill her the first time. And then the second time she was attacked, he didn't because he knew that, like, the publicity would be better if the person was still alive, I guess. So, and then Lynette actually, I know, he's horrible. Lynette actually was in a relationship. Oh, yeah. His name is Garrett. The cop's name is Garrett. And so Lynette and Garrett were also...
Typical cop name.
I know. So Lynette and Garrett were in a relationship, and he was just, like, always trying to get her to, like, sell her story and, like, make money off of her, basically. And so they broke up, and now she, like, has not, she doesn't date people because Garrett was really horrible. So then when Lynette is in jail, there are 2 cops that are watching her, and they're, like, taunting her and, like, being really horrible. Obviously they're cops, so this is, who's surprised? Not me. And so Dr. Carroll visits her. Lynette starts to think that Dr. Carroll is responsible for the attacks on the final girls. She thinks that Dr. Carroll is like orchestrating these attacks so that she can like kill them, because Dr. Carroll became very famous off of these girls' stories. And so she thinks that like she's trying to kill the final girls. Then one of the cops tried to kill her suddenly. And so her ex-boyfriend Garrett brings her from prison. And so then he's like, we're going to drive around and I'll, whatever, I'll save you and you're welcome. Even though he's like horrible. He's like, you're welcome and I'll save you. And so then he drops her off and he's like, why don't you just beat me up a little bit so I can tell my buddies that like I was jumped by a bunch of people and they had guns. So just beat me up a little bit. And instead Lynette, kicks him in the balls and steals his car. So, and that's my favorite part because he's being really racist and he's like, I'm going to tell my buddies that like some black men attacked me. And, she's like, I don't know about that. And then he's like talking about it and like trying to be like, what could I say that would make it plausible for people? And so she kicks him in the balls and she says, and then he like falls over and she says, just tell them it was one pissed off girl. And then she steals his car and drives away. And I'm like, that's the best part of this book.
That's good. Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, for sure.
She kind of ate with that one.
She did. So true.
What's 7 + 1? 8.
Okay, girl. So after this, so she's stolen Garrett's car. So Lynette decides that she is going to kidnap, lots of kidnapping in this book, she's going to kidnap the new final girl, Stephanie, to keep her safe, because she thinks that obviously the final girls are all under attack and Stephanie is also going to be included in that. So she's like, I'm going to go kidnap Stephanie. So she goes to Stephanie's house and she introduces herself because she knows, because when she was at Dr. Carroll's house, she went through her files and she saw Stephanie's name in like the list of people who had like contacted her or whatever. So she's like, I know that her parents have tried to reach out to Dr. Carroll. So she drives to Stephanie's house and she pretends to be a doctor working with Dr. Carroll. And she's like, I know you've been trying to reach Dr. Carroll and she sent me here to talk to you guys. And her parents are like, oh my God, thank God. And so she like tries to tell them, Stephanie's parents, that Stephanie's a final girl and that she's in danger. And then Stephanie's parents are like, who are you again? Like, why are you going on all this like random horror movie tangents? And she's like, no, I promise that this is what I am. And then Stephanie comes downstairs and she pretends that she doesn't know who Lynette is, but she recognizes her. And so Lynette is like, you need to come with me. I will keep you safe. And so she starts to kidnap Stephanie and they're like leaving the house. And as they're leaving the house, Dr. Carroll shows up and she tries to tell Stephanie's parents that Stephanie's in danger with Lynette. They're like, I think Lynette might be trying to come get her and we just want to let you know that might happen. And they're like, actually, Lynette's back there right now. But then Lynette convinces Stephanie to leave with her because she tells Stephanie that Dr. Carroll is trying to kill them. So she's kidnapped Stephanie and they're like driving now. And Lynette's got a plan. What happens then is Lynette is like, we're going to reach out to Chrissy. And Chrissy's the final girl who sells murderabilia, which, that is a real thing, actually.
It is a real thing.
Yeah.
Sick and twisted.
I don't know why you'd want to walk around with, like, a Charlie Manson shirt on, but people do. And that's, like, what it is.
Yeah,
so
that's weird.
So they're like, we're going to reach
Manson.
out.
It's Charles Manson.
Charles Manson. I couldn't remember.
Charlie.
I was like, I almost said Marilyn Manson, and then I was like, Marilyn Manson. That's not him. That's not who I'm thinking of. But anyway, Charles Manson. I knew that didn't sound right.
Good old Charlie.
Charles Manson.
Chuck.
Anyway, so Lynette is like, we're going to reach out to Chrissy and we're going to tell her that we have some murderabilia that she wants so that she'll meet up with us. And so they do, and they make an appointment to meet with Chrissy. They pretend to be somebody else, and they like list these things that Lynette actually has like seen before, so she knows what Chrissy wants. And so Chrissy comes to meet with them, but they wait until she leaves so they could follow her back to her house. So they follow Chrissy to her house. And Chrissy's house is super creepy. There's like dolls hanging from branches and like a fake cemetery and like just stuff everywhere. And so she's like walking up to Chrissy's house, and a man runs up on her and like grabs her by the hair and brings her into the house. And so then they get into like a fight, and Chrissy is like, comes out, and she's like, okay, Keith, you can stop. Keith is the man, and he's Chrissy's boyfriend. And he's like, what am I thinking of? What's the thing? Am I thinking of Monsters, Inc. where they've got, no, you know, in Bug's Life, when they have that like crazy grasshopper on the leash? That's what I'm thinking of when I think of Keith. And they're like, they're like, scare the ants. And then he comes out and he like is crazy. And she is like, Chrissy even says like sometimes he needs to be let off his leash or whatever, which I think is why I'm remembering the Bug's Life grasshopper. But anyway, so he's crazy. What's wrong with
that guy?
I don't know. So Chrissy's like, go away for a little bit so I can talk to Lynette. And so they walk through Chrissy's house, and then they walk through Chrissy's like murder museum, which is basically the final girls in their group. She's like compiled a bunch of things from their attacks and attackers and like created rooms in her house that are supposed to be like a walkthrough experience of their murders. And it's like sort of interesting, and we get like descriptions of each room, but my only complaint with this is that Heather's room is not described to us, because it's just described as like Heather's room was more horrifying than Lynette could have possibly imagined. Because Heather was part of a supernatural massacre, because Nightmare on Elm Street, I think, is like he goes into their dreams and kills people. Yeah, and so I guess it was, but we don't get like a description of the room, and I'm kind of like, that would have been interesting instead of hearing that it was just so scary that we can't hear about it.
He's like, dude, trust me.
It was scary.
Dude, you had to be there.
And so Chrissy shows Lynette some emails from the person. She says that they've been reaching out to her for like memorabilia or murderabilia. And Chrissy says that Dr. Carroll is the one who's been reaching out to her about murderabilia. And Lynette is like, that's what I thought. I knew it was Dr. Carroll. And so then they go outside and they realize that Keith has found Stephanie and he's tried to kill her. Lynette thinks that Stephanie is dead, and she's actually not. And she realizes that Keith is going to like actually kill her. Apparently he wants to skin her. That's really horrifying. And so Lynette runs to the car and crashes it into the house. And that kills Chrissy. And then Lynette grabs Stephanie and gets in the car. And so they drive away. So what happens is when Lynette was escaping Dr. Carroll's house, the little boy, her like little son, saw her leaving, and he was like, I'm going to tell Mom. And Lynette was like, please don't tell your mom. Like, what can I do so that you don't tell your mom? And the little boy is like, you can buy my comic book that I just drew up. And Lynette's like, fine. So she pays him like $100 for his stupid little hand-drawn comic book. And so Lynette and Stephanie are kind of like hanging out in the car or in the motel. And Lynette is looking at the comic book, and she realizes that it features like a violent superhero who's named Skyman. Spooky. And he is cutting off the heads of 6 women, and he says, I kill all the last ladies. And Lynette realizes that Sky, Dr. Carroll's older son, must be the killer, and he sent emails to Chrissy from Dr. Carroll's email account. And so she's like, oh my God, Sky is the killer. And so then Lynette is like, we really have to get these final girls, and we need to go to Camp Red Lake, basically. So at the end of the book, they go to Camp Red Lake. All the final girls are at Camp Red Lake at the end of this. So Lynette has forced herself to confront the killers, basically, because she's like, I didn't do it when I was under attack, so now I'm going to do it when we're all under attack. And so they're like hiding around the camp, and then there's like shooting starts, basically. And so they see Sky, and he is like, they're shooting at them, you know. And crazy. So Heather like smacks him, and they work together to attack him, basically. but they decide not to kill him because, you know, he is Dr. Carroll's son and they like Dr. Carroll. But then, while they're debating this, Stephanie sneaks up and threatens to kill Heather. She puts a gun to Heather's neck. Stephanie doesn't care about killing Lynette because no one cares about Lynette, apparently. But she thinks that if she kills Heather, then Stephanie and Skye will be famous. And it turns out that Stephanie and Skye met online. And Skye, you know, Stephanie's 16 and Skye is 26. And he has been gross. And he's been grooming her to, like, be this way.
What a twist.
I know. And so they are able to take down Stephanie because Lynette is like, well, why don't you just shoot Skye? Because Skye's going to become the famous one anyway, and no one's going to care about you. So you should kill Skye, and then you can be famous. And Stephanie's like, oh, maybe. And so Lynette attacks Stephanie. And Stephanie's like, maybe you should kill me. And Lynette's like, no, we're not going to do that. So the cops show up and arrest Skye and Stephanie. And so at the end of the book, then, in the last chapter, the final girls visit Stephanie in prison. And all of the final girls are famous again because of the new incidents that have happened. Dr. Carroll has decided that she is going to take a break from the group, which makes a lot of sense. She's probably not feeling so hot. And so what is nice is that Marilyn has put Lynette's plant in her yard, and he's doing really well in Marilyn's yard. So fine is flourishing. Yeah, basically, I mean, that's basically how it ends. Stephanie, you know, they're visiting her, and so she comes out to the visiting room after the girls are kind of talking, and she explains that Skye was actually grooming her for years. And he basically, what his plan was to kill all the final girls because he hates women and he hates his mom. And what, like, this has done to her life, I guess, basically. And so he wants to kill all the final girls and leave her career non-existent. And so Lynette sort of recognizes that Stephanie is just a victim of a different kind of monster. And so she's like, you're still a final girl to me. So they welcome her back into the support group, and that's the end of the book. My God.
My God.
So many things. Basically, that was a mess. And I do think, so when I first read the book, and I sort of, when I first read all of Grady Hendrix's books, I was sort of like, there's some, like, things about race in here that I'm not really sure are good. So, really? So in this book, Adrian is the only black character, and we do not meet her, and she dies at the beginning. And at first I was like, wow, he killed the black character and we didn't even get to meet her. But I think that what he was trying to do was, because this is like a slasher film book, I think he was trying to use the tropes of slasher films. And so I wonder if he did that because it was like, you know, the trope of, like, the black character dies first in a horror movie.
Yeah.
I wonder if he did that to sort of, I don't know, poke fun or, like, use the trope. But if he's just using the trope because he's like, this is a trope and I want to use it, then that's kind of weird to me. But if he was using it to be like, isn't this is ridiculous, and, like, these horrible things have happened to these women, and, like, more horrible things are happening, and also, like, this is a trope, and isn't that horrible? Like, because they do talk about Adrian a lot in the book, and even at the end of the book, they're like, Adrian was the best one of us, and she, like, kept us together. And at the end, when they're being attacked, there's, like, this room that Adrian had built, like, especially for Lynette, that was, like, this really, like, this safe room, I guess. And Lynette was like, oh my God, like, she built this for me. And so Adrian cared about all of them, like, more than they cared about each other. I don't know. So but I think that he was trying to use the trope to say something. I'm just not totally sure what it was.
Not sure what it is.
I'm not really sure what it is, but I was kind of like, couldn't we, like, if we're trying to reverse tropes, shouldn't we have Adrian, like, live till the end of the book? I don't know.
Yeah.
I just feel like if he's trying to, like, put tropes on their head, like, that's sort of the opposite of killing Adrian before we even see Adrian.
Yeah.
Like, we never meet her. So That to me is kind of funky. I'm not really sure what message he would be trying to send with doing that, but I just thought that it was interesting, I guess. Overall, I don't really have anything else to say about this book except that I don't really like it. I still don't really like it. I reread it. I have more sympathy for Lynette than I did the first time I read it, but like overall, I think this might be my least favorite Grady Hendrix book, and after like skimming it again, I think it is still my least favorite.
Yeah. Also, we could touch on like the gore, because we always say he writes gore very well, and I do think it is very well written, but it's so body focused that it just grosses me out. I was like the antlers, like, girl, oh my god, that's so nasty. And like in the end, Stephanie attacks her, right? And like she describes like her like skull being like, I don't know how she survives.
He like describes a lot of skull stuff in detail. This book, actually, I don't know if any of our listeners are familiar with Stephen Graham Jones, but this book really
I'm not
reminds
even familiar with Stephen Graham Jones.
Stephen Graham Jones and Grady Hendrix write gore very similarly to me, and I think this book just reminds me of Stephen Graham Jones because he has a trilogy about, like, final girls, basically, and that's, like, the focus of the trilogy. I think it's called the Indian Lake Trilogy. I've only read 2 of the books because after the second one, I was like, I can't actually do this anymore. But they write gore very similarly, and I like both of them. And I think that sometimes I actually think that Grady Hendrix could go a little bit further, and I think this book has more gore than his books usually do because there's so many characters that have, like, a past.
So many horrible things happen.
Just so many horrible things happen to them, and so that's like one of the things I do like about this book is that it is a little bit more gory in his Grady Hendrix fashion, and so I do appreciate that about this book in particular. But also, this is like such a little tangent, but I do think that I know that he pulled, Lynette's story from a movie that does exist, but she's on the antlers in this movie, and then in the second Stephen Graham Jones Indian Lake trilogy book, somebody dies by being stuck up on some antlers.
Oh.
His is actually more gory than this. Stephen Graham Jones, I maybe like his gore a little bit more, but he's a little bit more graphic than Grady Hendrix, and sometimes it can be a little bit exhausting.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I could do that.
Well, it's not like it just goes on for pages to the point where you're like desensitized because you're like, okay, I hear you. This is happening. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
But I won't say any more about him because I do want to like talk about Stephen Graham Jones in the future because I do like some of his other stuff.
On a scale of 1 to 10 final girls, what do you rank it?
3. I'll give this book 3 final girls.
3 final girls.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't know which, like, We Sold Our Souls or this one. I don't know which one I like the least.
Next week we're going to do like a final like scale.
Oh, right.
So I would think about which one you hate the most.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'd give it a 3 too. 3 final girls.
Yeah, 3 final girls for this book. I just I want to like it. And the interesting thing to me is that I was like looking up his like Grady Hendrix just to see, for the most part, we're not doing a ton of research for this podcast because it's like a book review podcast that we're like, we're just going to giving y'all our opinions about the book. Based on like what we like and stuff, but I wanted to see, because I feel like sometimes my opinions about his books are really different than like other people, so I was just kind of Googling to see what people thought, and on the Grady Hendrix subreddit, everybody was really talking about how they liked the Final Girl support group. I wonder if it's because it's so short compared to his other books.
Yeah.
People like it, because I think a complaint with some of his other books is that people think they're too long. So I wonder if this book, because it's like half the size of like How to Sell a Haunted House, people are like, I like it a little bit more because things are happening. I don't know. But people seem to really like Final Girl support group. I wish I understood the hype. I just don't like it. How to Sell a Haunted House. Are we ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Junie's ready. She's sleeping.
Junie's ready to talk about
Junie.
Come on in, Junie. Okay. All right.
So the themes of this book are family and generational trauma, family secrets, and siblings coming back together. That's so great.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I love this book. It's a great book. I think it's super creepy because puppets are always really creepy, and I think that her mom's really weird for doing that. But everyone has their hobbies.
Yeah.
At least she could be doing drugs. Instead she
could be less creepy though, but yeah,
making puppets. Yeah, I think Pumpkin is super creepy. Doesn't he have a little song?
His little song. Wait, let me find it.
Yeah, he sings a little creepy. Yeah,
he's like, Pumpkin here.
It's a little creepy song that he sings while he does maniacal things.
Do you want me to read it? Should we scream this song? I'll just read it because I don't want to do it in the little voice that I imagine for him, so I'm just going to read it. It's Pumpkin here, everybody laugh, everybody cheer, no more bath time, no more rules, no more teachers, no more schools. It's time to sing and dance all day. Pumpkin's here to play and play and play and play. But imagine like a little creepy clown puppet.
Yeah.
Singing that.
And like the thing with Pumpkin is that he's like, if he wasn't a psycho, he would just be like a toy that wants to play. He's like, I just want to play, guys. There's nothing wrong with playing, but he thinks playing is violence. So he's like, let's jump down. Like I'm making this up. Let's jump off the roof. It'll be fun. Like that kind of like he just thinks that play is hurting yourself and hurting others. So
I don't know if anyone knows. I didn't see this movie, so I think it's called Imaginary Friend. It was that movie that came out. Imaginary. I think it was called Imaginary.
Yeah, we were like, oh my god, this is literally How to Sell a Haunted House.
Yes.
But with a teddy bear instead of a clown.
Yes. I literally was like, so if anyone's familiar with the movie Imaginary, we have not seen it, but the trailer looks a lot like it would be very similar. Yeah.
Yes. What is that TikTok sound where it's like, you should kill your parents, Tracy, or like Stacy or Tracy, I can't remember. That's like what this doll's doing.
That is what the doll's doing.
He's just like, oh, isn't this game so fun? You should kill your parents. like really, that's what this guy's all about.
Yeah, I mean, really. So I'm surprised to hear that you love this book, because I thought that you
it's a great
moderately liked this book.
I really did like it. I just think it's too long.
Okay.
Because it comes to an end, like a pretty good ending, you would think, and then like everything we think is solved, like we think the problem is solved, and then she goes back home, and then boom, it's like almost like a second book starts again, because like they're like, oh, actually there's this thing's happening now. So I guess we can get into how it ends and how that chapter starts.
So at the beginning, so like we said in the description, they leave the house after Louise is attacked by Pumpkin, and they go to Waffle House. After I think they take her to the emergency room to get the needle out of her eye. Obviously there's a needle wedged in her eye, and then they go to Waffle House so they can talk. They don't get along. Louise thinks that Mark sucks and like is non-committal and everything. And so she just doesn't like him because she thinks he's just like not responsible, and she's always been the responsible one or whatever. So they're talking about his past, and he is like, we need to talk about, like, I need to tell you about like actually my history with this puppet. So he went away to college basically, and he did theater because he was creative like their mom, and so but he didn't really like the classes, and then he joined like a radical puppet collective, which I don't know what the hell that means.
Yeah.
But they put on like puppet shows, and it's supposed to be like after 9/11, so it's like they're protesting the war in Afghanistan and everything, and so but they're like through puppets, and so he gets involved with this like protesting puppet collective basically, and he starts telling the people in the group about Pumpkin. What happens is that they once he's been there for a little while, they show him this puppet that actually looks like it's moving by itself, like one of the people sort of is controlling it, but it seems like it's actually like a live thing. And they're talking about it, and he's like, that kind of reminds me of this puppet that my mom made when I was a kid called Pumpkin. And they're like, oh my god, we have to see this puppet. And so Mark is like, Mom, can you send this to me? And she's like so excited that he is interested in Pumpkin again that she sends it to him like overnight or something, which is like a very expensive thing to do.
Yeah. And
he shows them, and kind of like the head guy of the group becomes obsessed with Pumpkin and he's wearing Pupkin all the time. And the thing about Pupkin is he basically possesses you. So their sort of mindset on puppets is like you become the puppet. And so he's like, Pupkin has some really good ideas and I think we need to do them.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So they start making Pupkin masks, and they're all like wearing these masks. And when they're wearing the mask, they're doing things and they don't remember what it is that they've done while the mask is on. And they wake up and they've like eaten a bunch of like sweets and they feel really sick and they're like, oh, this is terrible. And they'll be like really dirty. And then they start waking up and there are like animal bones around them and they feel like really sick. And they're like, what's going on? And then
I think we ate that cat.
They start to see like missing pet, like a bunch of missing pet flyers. And they're like, oh my God. And then they do a puppet show about the Iraq War at an elementary school. And, it's the early 2000s, so the teachers are really upset. And obviously, we disagree with the Iraq War, but they did do a very violent puppet show for a bunch of small children.
Yeah.
So, that probably isn't a good idea. And so the teachers were so mad. They like kicked them out of the school, and the school would not pay them for their time because they were like, you did this horrible puppet show for our children, which to be fair, like you should probably screen people that want to come and perform things.
Yeah. What
at
did
your
you
school.
think? Well, maybe they lied. Maybe they said, oh, we're going to do a puppet show on friendship. And they're like, oh my God, that's great.
But I
and
don't think the
Iraq War.
I think that if the school had been like, can you tell us about what you're doing? They probably would have told them exactly what the plan was.
Maybe.
And the school could have been like, no, thank you. So I think that was kind of, whatever. Pay them or don't. I guess I don't really care. That's not a big deal because it's in a book. But I just am kind of like, you should
get mad.
You should probably screen the people that are going to come talk to your children. But anyway, so they don't pay the puppet group. And so the head puppet leader is so mad. So they put the Pupkin masks on and Pupkin tells them to go to the teacher's house who kicked them out. And they like attack her. But they don't quite remember what they did. They just remember attacking her, kind of. And Mark is like having the worst time. He's miserable. He like feels sick all the time. And he's like possessed by the Pupkin mask basically all the time. And so one night he's like, I need to stop this madness. So he lights the house on fire that they're all staying in. He lights it on fire. He does not know who gets out. He has no idea. He just lights it on fire and he leaves. And then he goes home and his mom is like, he goes back to his dorm and he's like sick. And his mom comes up to see him and she's like, but where's Pupkin? Don't you have him? And he's like, I don't know. My friend has him. And they start to go to the airport and his mom keeps being like, we really need to get him back. And Mark is like, why do we need to get him back? And she's like, I need him back. Like, you need to get him. And so he like stops by the puppet leader's house and asks for Pupkin. And the guy like throws him out the door and like shuts the door. So he does have Pupkin again. They go home. And basically after that, their mom never brings it back up. They never actually talk about what happened. They're just like, okay, cool. So that is what has happened to Mark. And that's like his past with Pupkin. And so we find out that Pupkin is like, he possesses people and
pretty bad.
He's pretty evil. Mark tells Louise all of that. And Louise is like, oh my God. And so they go back into the house and they're like, we've got to finish Pupkin. Like, obviously Pupkin's the problem. And so they basically, they go into the house and Pupkin is in the attic because their mom had like locked him in the attic. Why would you lock a puppet? That's pretty weird. Why would you have to lock a puppet in the attic, Mom? So they go and they get him in the attic. And when they're up there trying to lure Pupkin, Pupkin is trying to convince Mark to put him on. And Mark is like, no, I don't want to. And Pupkin's like, you got to put me on, Mark. And so while they're up there...
Put your hand up my ass.
So... basically. And so then Mark puts Pupkin on and Pupkin is like trying to convince him to do bad things. And Mark's imaginary friend comes to life up there. And it's like a dog.
That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
It's like a dog spider?
It's like a dog spider, and his name is Spider. And he attacks Louise. He's like real, and he attacks Louise, and Louise is like very injured. And so they run out of the house, and and Mark still is wearing Pupkin, and he's trying to kill Louise with like a hammer. And so that he hits her with a hammer a couple times, and she's like, this is not good. And so she like is able to get up and like run out of the house. And so then they go in the garage because she's trying to like find a weapon. And then Mark goes in there and he's still trying to kill Louise, but it's not really Mark. It's like Pupkin is trying to kill Louise. And so they're both like, what do we do? And there's a chain, like a what are those, the saws that are attached, like a table saw? Is that what they're called?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
it's
I
like
think
a
so.
chainsaw. It's like attached to a circular saw. It could be.
I think no, circular is the handheld one. I think
right.
it's a table saw.
The table saw. Yeah, I don't know. So they see that, and Mark kind of looks at it, and he's like, maybe we need to do something more extreme about, because Pupkin, like, won't come off of his hand. And Pupkin breaks Mark's hand, actually, that he's on. And so Mark is like, kind of looks at Louise, and Louise is like, I guess I need to chop off Mark's hand with this saw. So she chops off his arm.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, she's gonna like amputate his arm. And so then Pupkin is, off of his arm, and they've got to call the ambulance. And so basically, they go to the hospital, and Mark's like had to have surgery, and he wakes up and he's like, why did you chop off my arm? And she's like, you were like, you kind of asked me to, and like I sort of had to. And he's like upset, which sure,
I'd be so pissed.
He's missing his arm. I would be mad too. But he's like, you've got to go and
probably
finish.
his dominant arm too,
possibly. And so he was like, you've got to go finish Pupkin off. Like, we've just got to end this. So she goes back to the house and she lights Pupkin on fire, and they think that it's over. So she takes care of Mark for a couple days, and then she goes back home. She lives in San Francisco, so she goes back home to her daughter, who's staying with her ex,
who's a nasty,
who's
scummy
just
guy,
a gross, like, annoying man. He's not like horrible. He's just like condescending and annoying. And so she goes back home,
and you think everything's gonna be fine.
You do.
And I thought that was where the book should end, but then it continues.
Louise's daughter, Poppy, has made a puppet with her grandmother, and it looks exactly like Pupkin, and it is Pupkin. And Louise is like, oh my God, this is not going to work. So, like, it's a couple days.
This guy!
Louise's ex is like, you can't, he, like, doesn't understand, and obviously she's not about to be like, my haunted house and this real puppet that's really trying to kill us. So she's just like, she can't have that puppet, and her ex is like, she's got to give you the puppet. You can't, like, just take the puppet off of her hand or whatever. So Pupkin essentially wreaks havoc around Louise's house and tries to, like, hurt Poppy a bunch of times. And so Louise calls Mark, and Mark is like, you've got to bring her back here so that we can deal with it. So they fly back to Charleston, and Louise the whole time is telling Pupkin that they're going to go visit Louise and Mark's mom, who Pupkin still thinks is alive because he doesn't understand the concept of death because he's a puppet. And so he thinks that's where they're going. So he's like, I'm going to be quiet so that I can go see my mom, basically. And so they get there, and their family, like, knows people, or, like, their family kind of works with, like, expelling demons from dolls, basically. And they have a family friend who does that, like, for fun. So they bring her there, and they try to, like, expel the demon, and they realize that it's not a demon possessing the doll, it's a ghost. And so they've got to figure out, and the ghost, and Pupkin is like, the ghost is Freddy or whatever. They, like, get him to tell them who he is, and he says his name is Freddy, and they realize that Freddy is their mom's younger brother who died when he was 5. And Pupkin's like, I'm 5. And they're like, what do you mean you're 5? And he's like, well, my name is Freddy. And they're like, what? And then he's like, oh, I don't know, the end. And so he stops giving them information. So the group who's only expelled demons, they're like, we cannot help you because a ghost means they have unfinished business, and the only way they can leave is if they resolve their unfinished business. So you've got to deal with this on your own. And so they take Pupkin. They, like, are able to get out of their... And this is sort of one of the themes of the book, is, like, family secrets. Obviously, like, their mom has a lot of secrets, but they're able to get out of, like, one of their aunts, the, like, actual story of how Freddy died. And apparently their mom, so Louise and Mark's mom, was supposed to watch him. They were, like, playing in a pool or something, and she was supposed to watch him, and she instead walked away to go to, like, an ice cream shop down the street, and Freddy drowned in the pool. And they buried Freddy. They were supposed to bury him in a cemetery, but instead they buried him in the backyard of the house that Louise and Mark ended up growing up in. Basically, this, like, little boy was buried in this backyard by himself, and now his sister and her husband have died, and he's, like, alone in this house. Or, like, alone on this property by himself. So they realize that they need to find his body. So they, like, are able to locate his body. And, like, Poppy is, like, basically dying because he's, like, on her hand, and he's, like, using her energy to, like, be Pupkin. So they're like, we've got to save Poppy and we've got to like find, like resolve this ghost business. And so at the end of the book, Louise is able to get, after she finds the like, I guess like a little box with like the dead body in it, she's able to take Pupkin off of Poppy's hand and she puts him on, and she like explains to him that she was like, well, your sister is dead. And he was like, I don't know what that means. And she's like, you have to go find her, basically. And so then Pupkin and like Freddy's ghost or whatever are like, I will go find her. And then they like move on, basically. And so then they've unhaunted the house. The ghost has resolved his business because he's actually like free to be dead now or whatever. And that's basically it. And then they're fixing up the house. Mark is fixing up the house. They have like a funeral for Freddy, a memorial. And Poppy is doing fine. And that's basically the end of the book. And Louise and Mark are close again. So that's how it ends. I think that if it had ended when Louise just like lit him on fire, that would have been too easy.
Yeah, now you're just, it would have been too easy, and now you're describing it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. That's it's like, if he wasn't such a little demon, it's actually kind of sad, and you feel bad for him.
It is sad. No, it is sad. I mean, he tormented all of them like their whole lives. And he also, Pupkin actually is the reason that Louise and Mark's parents are dead.
Right.
Because they were like driving to the hospital because I guess their dad had like broken his ankle. And so their mom had to like take care of him, but she really had been taking care of Pupkin her entire life. And he was Freddy's puppet. But then when her husband broke his ankle, she had to take care of him, and Pupkin didn't like that. And so they had to escape the house because of Pupkin, and they I don't remember if Pupkin was in the car and something happened. I think that they just had to escape, and then they got into a car accident like on the way to the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that without the like full ending, we don't really get the the theme of like family trauma and like secrets in families.
Yeah.
Which is part of like because at the end when they're trying to figure out how Freddy actually died, it turns out that their mom was told that he got lockjaw and died to try and make her not
from
feel
tetanus,
bad.
yeah.
Yeah. To try and make her not feel bad for basically like walking away, and then he drowned. So they didn't even tell her.
No, if that was my kid, I'd be pissed.
I know.
They just walked away. Oh my God.
Yeah, so they didn't even tell her. And then when they're trying to get it out of their family member, and she like will not tell them, and she's like, oh, he died of lockjaw. And they're like, that's not how lockjaw works. That's not how he died.
Bullshit.
And she's like, fine, like you're right, like I'll just tell you. And so like I think without like if they had just burned him and it was over, that would be too easy.
Yeah. It would.
Not how like expelling a ghost would work. So I think that it needed that extra little bit, because honestly the ending, because she's burning him on page 292.
Mm-hmm.
And then she like takes care of Mark for a couple days, and then she goes home, and she goes home on page 304. And then from page 304 to 413 is that little bit that I just described. And honestly, like, that's not that many pages. Like, that's 100 pages,
no,
but this
not.
page is like 415 pages long. So, like, it's not even like a third of the book. So I don't think that it's too long. I saw online a lot of people were like, this book is too long. A lot of people also, the main thing that I've seen in reviews for this book is people hating Louise. They're like, Louise is unlikable. And I'm like, what is
in
unlikable?
What way?
You hate women if you hate Louise.
Like, she did nothing wrong.
I
liked her.
They're like, she's too stuck up or whatever. But I'm like, she is the older sibling of a man who, like, is not responsible. He's, like,
kind of a man-child.
Yeah, he is. He, like, can't take care of himself. And
yeah, it's
she
like,
doesn't...
and then we find out, oh, he has some trauma.
Yeah.
Go to therapy.
But, like, thankfully I don't have this. But if I had a brother who was, like, basically a man-child...
Thankfully.
But everyone treated him like he was the superior, like, great angel child. You know what? I wouldn't get along with him either.
Yeah, no, I think that's
so and
fair.
I would be a little bit self-righteous around him, too, okay? And maybe that makes me horrible, but we're all people, and that's how it would be. So... I think if people don't like Louise, it's kind of like, really, would you be acting better than Louise in some of these situations? I don't think that makes Louise a bad person or an annoying character to read. I like Louise, and I think that, you know, she makes decisions that like a normal person would make. And sometimes I think that when people read women and they're like people with identities who like make bad decisions like everybody else, they're like, I don't like this. She's annoying. Why would she do that? And it's like, just say that you hate women. Okay? If that's how you feel, just say it. Just say it.
You'll feel better. Get it off your chest.
So, I don't know. When I see that, I'm just kind of like, what is it that you don't like about her? Maybe you should flesh that out a little. Maybe you should think about that. So, I like Louise. I think that she's similar to other characters. She's like a real person. So, and I can appreciate that about her as a real person myself.
Louise. Any Bob's Burgers fans?
Oh my god. But I will say that this did used to be my favorite Grady Hendrix book when I first read it, and then when I was skimming it, I like read bits and pieces. I read more of it than Final Girls this time because I just prefer this book, obviously. And I still like it, but I think that the Vampires is still my favorite, or is my favorite, and Haunted House is not quite.
I would agree.
As good.
It's second for me, though.
Vampires is still, like, I think it's creepier. Like, there's definitely, like, very creepy aspects of this book, but I just feel like once you've read How to Sell a Haunted House one time, the second time you read it, it doesn't feel as scary. But I've read Book Club Vampire, the title is so long, I'm not going to say it, twice now. And the second time I read it, I felt just as spooked. Maybe not as spooked, because that was the first horror book that I ever read. So I had a different, like, barometer for what was okay for me to read back then. But I was still, like, when he was on the roof, I was like, oh my God.
That's still freaky.
It's still freaky. Like, it's still scary. But, like, this one, once you've read it, you're kind of like, I know what happens. I know that Pupkin is the ghost of a small dead child. And so it's like, you know, it's still like creepy and spooky, but it's not as creepy and spooky as it was the first time you read it. Whereas I think Vampires can still be, there's still aspects of it that make you go like, ugh, when you're reading it a second time.
I agree.
Yeah. But that's just me.
I think I agree.
Yeah, I thought something was funny too on the same like Reddit, the Grady Hendrix Reddit thread. I just love me some Reddit. Somebody said that they thought that this book was about the process of selling a haunted house.
Wanted this for tips on how to sell my home.
I wanted a real estate drama. They said they were disappointed with all of the family drama. And I'm just like, no.
Are you stupid?
First of all, this book is clearly 400 pages when you're looking at it. This is a thicker book.
It's a thick book.
Did you want 400 pages about selling
tips and tricks?
Like, yeah, like what is it that you wanted? Like, did you want them to be like showing the house and like a picture falls off the wall? Because like, sure, but I was just a little confused by that, to be honest.
Yeah, I think they're also a little confused as well.
Like, do you really want that? I don't think that you do. Plus, on the cover, it's like more a family drama than like, how do you actually go through a contract when the house is haunted? Because also, if there's like weird stuff about the house, I think you have to like disclose that when you're selling it. Like, you have to disclose it in the listing. Like, if somebody was like,
you have to disclose if there's a ghost. Really?
I think so. If somebody has passed away in the house, or if there was like a murder that happened, you have to be like, by the way, somebody did die in this house. Like,
oh,
yeah. Like,
I guess you would know more than me.
I think that I mean, I learned that like years ago, so I don't quite, I don't know anymore. But I'm pretty sure you have to be like, something heinous. A family of 4 was killed here or something. Like,
yeah,
you have to say. Like that. You have to.
But like, if an old person just died in their home, like, do you have to tell people
I think that you still have to tell people. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, any realtors out there, let us know.
But I don't know anymore. But I'm pretty sure you have to disclose something. And I think if there's like weird stuff with the house, because if there's not, like, what if you did buy a haunted house and then like all of your stuff falls off the walls every single day? You could probably sue.
Buy a haunted house.
You could sue. No, you don't want to buy a haunted house. You could like
Right.
sue the seller and be like, you knew this happened and you didn't tell me, so I'm going to sue you. So like,
If I sold my house knowing it was haunted and I didn't tell the person because I wanted to sell it, and then they tried to sue me for they're like, oh, it's haunted, you didn't tell me, I'd be like, I didn't know. I'd just be like, how can you prove that?
I don't know. People sue.
How can you
sue
prove
for
negligence?
stuff. I don't know.
I'd be
man.
like, I swear, bro, there were no ghosts when I was there. Maybe it just hates you.
Promise.
No, pretty please. I
Oh my
promise. Like, please don't sue me. I don't know. I just feel like that's dumb. Also, I was always so mad as a child that I'm pretty sure that old man who lived in our parents' house died in there, and just an old age. I'm pretty sure he died in the house, and it's not haunted. That was my biggest disappointment.
I'm so
as a
glad that
child.
our house wasn't haunted. I didn't want.
I wanted a ghost. I wanted to be
I
spooked.
don't want a ghost. I don't want that in my life.
No, our house that we live in now is very old, so I'm still waiting for a ghost.
You do not want a ghost.
You don't know what I want.
Okay.
No, my boyfriend's wanting me to watch a scary movie, and because I don't like them. We haven't picked one, but I want to be like, can we watch Coraline?
Have you
That
seen
movie's
Coraline?
terrifying. Yes, it's terrifying. I was watching it by myself.
We're gonna watch
once,
Coraline
and I was
today.
terrified.
We're
Oh my
actually gonna watch
gosh,
Coraline
spooky!
today.
So
I'm really
fun.
excited. I know. I love Coraline. You should watch Scream. I think you would actually really like Scream.
He suggested that, but I was like, isn't that more like? Well, I'm annoyed that I know how it ends. That I know who did it.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. You could watch Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
Samantha, my roommate, suggested what's the one with Megan Fox?
Oh, Jennifer's Body.
Jennifer's Body. She suggested that, and I was like, oh, I thought that was supposed to be like a little romp, and she was like, no, girl, it's scary.
think
I was like,
is
oh, okay.
supposed to be like a scary romp. I've never seen that.
Yeah.
I started.
That's-
I
I
think
thought
I
it was
started
just,
to,
like,
and I
a
was like,
vibe. I
oh,
don't
this is
know.
actually scary.
I didn't know it was supposed to be scary, so she suggested
But I do
that.
want to watch it. You know what I want to watch is the Pearl movies. I want to watch those.
Yeah, maybe I'll suggest that too. That A24 man. Have you seen the trailer for like the Together one where they're like together and like and Dave Franco morphs with his wife? I think.
Yes, I
don't know.
I don't.
Apparently
wanna
that's
watch
scary.
that. I don't want to watch that.
That's
movie.
scary.
But I have seen. I think I read about that. But I remember seeing that A24. We watched. What did we watch? There was an A24 movie. Well, we watched Death of a Unicorn, and I really didn't like that movie. But
was it
sorry,
scary?
everyone, this has turned into a movie podcast.
We also review movies.
You're welcome. It wasn't scary. I didn't think it was scary. But it was more like a thriller, but I just didn't like it. Like, it just wasn't good. And we watched another A24 movies. There's so many. We watched one that's older. It's called The Green Knight, and I really don't like that. I hated that movie.
Why did you hate it?
It was just ridiculous. I didn't even know what was happening. It has Dev Patel in it. And
He's cool.
I didn't like it. I do want to watch Friendship with Paul Rudd and that Tim Robinson. That looks really funny.
Is Hereditary A24?
I think so.
Because
Hereditary is because is Midsommar A24. If Midsommar is, then yeah, Beau is Afraid is, and that's that same. I think that's that same Ari Aster, and Ari Aster just did Eddington, I think, which I don't think was actually scary. No, wait, did you just say someone suggested that you watch Hereditary?
Yeah,
I don't think you want to watch Hereditary.
Samantha did. Why? Because it's really scary.
That movie is really scary. I don't think that you should start watching horror movies by watching Hereditary. I think that you're going to be really upset if you watch Hereditary.
I've seen Midsommar, so
I think that Hereditary is worse than Midsommar.
Yeah, because I remember I just was watching it by myself, like on my laptop in my room.
Was it
And
scary?
I was like,
I've
why
never
am I
seen
doing
it,
this?
so-
It was freaky. It was gross. And, oh, God, no, it was scary. I'm remembering it. I really didn't like it. There was one scene that chilled me to my core.
Yeah, I don't
Shaking
think
in my
you should
boots.
I don't think you should watch Hereditary. I think you should watch
yeah,
Bodies,
maybe.
Bodies, Bodies because that's more of like a thriller and it's kind of funny. also.
I was also
think
suggested
you should watch
Insidious,
that.
like a classic, like kind of.
I can't
like
watch
The
movies like
Conjuring,
that.
Insidious.
I just can't. I can't do it.
I don't know, man. I'm scared. I'm stressed. He
scared.
he was joking, but my boyfriend was like, the Terrifier. I was like, are you out of your mind?
What the hell is the Terrifier?
Oh my god,
know
I
what
don't even
that
know if you want.
is.
If you look it up, it's the scariest clown you've ever seen. It's I've on Trixie and Katya's podcast. Katya loves the Terrifier, like all 4 of them or whatever, I think.
Oh
and
my god, there's 4.
It's so, and she'll describe it, and it's just so violent and like scary. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? He was like, I'm kidding. I'm like, that's not funny. I'm not watching that.
If he wants you to watch a horror movie, you need to watch the one that I'm telling you to watch. You need to watch Bodies, because it's a little spooky.
I'll write it down.
And it's fun. It's like a fun. I'm actually gonna rewatch that this year, I think. I watched it for the first time last year, and I really liked it. So I would suggest I would watch that if I were you.
Is that the one where she's like, "You're the murderer! I knew it! You're such a bitch!" That one?
I don't know.
I just remember that was a TikTok sound, and I thought that was from there.
I've only seen it one time, so I don't remember. But it has Pete Davidson is in it. It has the guy. Why can't I remember his name right now? He's got like a short little name. Lee Pace.
Oh, Lee Pace.
Lee Pace.
You should have said Thranduil. I love Lee Pace.
I forgot that he was in those movies. Yeah, Lee Pace.
He's a beautiful elf.
Yeah, he is beautiful. So
he's so beautiful.
You should watch it.
No, he is really hot.
Anyway. We are still recording this podcast.
Okay. How would you rate this book on a scale of 1 to 10 demonic puppets?
You mean ghostly puppets? He's not a demon.
My bad.
How many
ghostly
pumpkins?
puppets? How many pumpkins?
I would give, let's see, I gave vampires a 9.5.
Yes, 9.5.
So I think I'm going to give this book like an 8.5.
I agree. 8.5. Yeah, because as we've been talking about, I'm like, oh, that actually was a really good book.
It is really good.
That's just a good book.
I feel like this is also possibly the easiest book of his to explain, which I honestly, now that
was
we've been,
pretty
like,
simple.
explaining them, it's very easy, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's less groundbreaking things happening on every single page.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it's just, like, I like it because I don't think there's, like, a deeper message. It's just a creepy book with a creepy puppet, and I guess there can be a deeper message on, like, family secrets, but is that really, like, trying to teach a lesson? No.
And I think that, like, generational trauma is also, like,
generational
that can be scary. I think that it's, like, creepy in a different way. And it's also, like, I don't know. I just thought, I like a little family drama. I didn't mind that it wasn't a real estate horror. So that's fine with me.
I liked it. I think it's a fun time. I would highly recommend that one.
Yeah. Okay, so
to anybody.
So would we recommend both? Neither. I would definitely recommend How to Sell a Haunted House. Final Girl. I feel like you honestly can skip Final Girls, you guys.
Yeah.
If you have read all of the Grady Hendrix books and you want to read some more Grady Hendrix,
which is like what we've said for the last 3 months. Which is what we
said for like a couple of them, then do it.
Do it.
But if you're really into slashers, if you really like Stephen Graham Jones, and if you're really into slashers, then I think you should read Final Girl Support Group. But if you're not those people, then like you might, I think you're not going to like it.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. Well, thank you for joining us for another episode, our Grady Hendrix Deep Dive. Next week, we will be back, and we will be doing our 4th and final installment of the Grady Hendrix Deep Dive. That's going to be
book.
Friday, November 14th. We're going to be yapping about Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, and then we're going to have our little final boss fight about what our favorite and least favorite ones are. So,
a full ranking.
A in-depth ranking of the books. So join us for that. Make sure that you are following and subscribing. We have an Instagram page where you can follow us. It's just A Book for My Sister podcast, and also on YouTube at A Book for My Sister podcast. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week, everybody. Keep on yapping and reading. Until then, bye.
Bye.